Here's a game changer. Fender has a new CEO. And many of our generation, that's, Fender is part of our DNA. It's it's our baby. And so with the new guy, you can probably suspect I have a few questions. Ladies and gentlemen, the new CEO of Fender, Andy Mooney. Thanks for coming, man. Have a seat. What I think a lot of folks may not know, you've been, almost 6 months now, is, a big runway, but no, you're a guitar guy. They don't know that. Tell us a little about how you started.
I learned classical guitar. I actually was pretty inspired by Jake's performance this morning because for me, the first 3 years, learning on a small scale, 9-inch strung instrument made it easy for me to really fall in love with the instrument. And then I graduated, when I went to high school, I graduated into electric guitar. So I've been in deep on guitar for 50 years. And before I joined Fender, I actually had 40 guitars from my collection before I joined. Now my wife is terrified. So we're gonna have to buy a bigger.
Stopping him now.
we're gonna have to buy a bigger house, I think.
But you played in bands. You gigged. You did what all of us do. Tell us about that. While you were getting a day job, what was the balance there? Wanting to be a musician?
No, I really wanted to be a professional musician, but realized that the likelihood that would actually work was pretty slim. So I bagged going to college deliberately because I wanted to be a pro musician, but I had to have a day job to pay the bills. So I always was kind of semi-pro. My little band in Scotland was called Bitch.
In light of the last conversation, I think that
yeah, maybe not the right choices.
Yeah.
Name these days.
But
But this is back in the days of the Bay City Rollers, so everybody lied about the rage and wore silly costumes and had to play pop music, but we were really a heavy metal band disguised as a pop band. So we would take pop songs and then we'd heavy them up. We never really attracted a very large audience, but we liked it.
Somehow then, though, the day job, you started into the corporate world. With Nike over there?
Yeah, I started, I moved out of Scotland in 1980-ish, joined Nike when I was 25. I kind of went the finance route, so I actually joined them as a CFO, which meant unloading. It was a $10 million organization, meant unloading 40-foot containers of shoes when they arrived. It wasn't particularly glamorous. And then I moved to the States in '84, spent 20 years with Nike there. But at the point that I moved to the States, I was 28. I realized by then that I should probably bail on the notion of being a professional musician, stop gigging. Actually sold all of the stuff I had, which now I'm kind of killing myself.
A lot of people have that. One of the things I was noticing that you had mentioned in one of the interviews a guy named Alan Rogan, and Alan is a notorious guitar tech for Clapton and just a lot of the heavies. And I actually met him on one of the Ringo Starr tours. But he inspired you and helped you get a few guitars, I think, huh?
He was instrumental in kind of sucking me back in. I was a willing participant, but he knew my wife. My wife had been on the Clapton tour when Eric married Patty, and Alan was the guitar tech on that tour. So he got me on the Fender artiste list when I shouldn't have been on the list. But
you cleaned that up since?
Yeah. But the thing that he really did was he bought me the Bacon and Day History of Fender book. So this is back in the late 80s. And that was right around the time that Bill Schultz had taken the company back from CBS. The product was starting to get smoking again. And so I bought one of the first American standards that came out of the new regime. Yeah. But when he gave me that book, I went through, and he describes the book as guitar porn. I went through it and I had the same sentiment, and I decided somewhat illogically that I wanted to collect every single guitar that was in the book.
How many are in the book?
I think there's 60 in the book. I'm up to 35 right now, and the one that's really tough that I'm working on right now, this is one of the beauties of having this job, is that One of the contributing photographs from Alan in the book is David Gilmour's Strat, which bears the serial number 001. Well, it's not actually 001, but it's an early 50s Strat. It's impossible to replicate, so I'm trying to convince David to allow us to do some master-built reproductions in the same way that we did with Clapton's Blackie. So I'm still working on the collection.
How's that going? Did he soften it up yet?
We're working on it.
So, you know, talking about Fender, I mean, again, this is something of great interest to all of us, and you know, we talked a little bit about digital and where that's going. You made a lot of changes. You made some hires in the digital realm and trying to look at things in a much broader way. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen so far in the 6 months and some of the things you've already implemented or have on the books.
Well, the statistic that really encourages me about the industry, I mean, I think we'd all say that the industry in terms of sales is relatively stable. If it's growing, it's probably only growing modestly in the single digits. But the statistic, I mean, at least as it relates to the guitar segment, is the fact that 90% of people who buy their first instrument abandon it in the first 12 months. The 10% who don't end up really being the industry, buying multiple instruments, all of the amplifiers, effects pedals, audio equipment, whatever it might be. Usually consumer products companies have a hard time getting new consumers to come in. We don't have that problem. We have a problem getting them to commit to the instrument for life. So everything that we're doing on the digital side is geared towards reducing abandonment rates. Because if we reduce abandonment rate by 10%, for example, we have the potential to double the size of the industry. And I think if that occurs, we all benefit. Other brands in the industry will benefit. We as a share leader in the electric segment will benefit. But fundamentally, I think as a recurring theme from everybody who's been on stage here today is that playing a musical instrument is life-changing. And the more people that we can invite into that club, every genre, every gender, every geography, the better it's going to be for the industry. So that's really what we're putting our emphasis on.
So you're retaining the players, keeping them in.
Yeah.
One of the things you said, and I think has part and parcel to this, is you made a comment, I think, in one of the magazines that the independent dealer network is critical in this industry. And I think that's part of that. Share a few thoughts on that, if you don't mind.
Well, the guitar and everything that goes with it, amplifiers, effects pedals, whatever it might be, it's a very personal thing. We actually were introducing a new, sorry this is going to sound like a plug, but we're introducing a new amp line here at the show, Bass Breaker. And we had about a dozen really high caliber guitars come up and experiment with the amp. So they originally all had a Stratocaster, they all had the same amp, and it was like 12 completely different sounds. So it's a very personal choice about how it feels physically to you, how it sounds sonically to you. And you can only do that in a physical environment, and that's just one of many reasons why I think the specialty networks here for the long run and vitally important for the industry.
Yeah. You know, the idea of product design, product innovation, you know, in some ways, you know, you could say that, you know, the iconic shape of a Les Paul, the iconic shape of a Strat, these are all 50, 60 plus years old now. In some ways, you know, the risk is you don't even try and change it. You'll see it next door, some do, and some do it well. But, you talked about a guy at Nike named Tinker Hatfield, who was a very creative designer. You're bringing some of that into the thought process at Fender, you think?
Well, I think with the known forms that are so successful in Fender history, Telecaster, Stratocaster, the challenge there is somewhat colouring between the lines. On the one hand, we have to move the product along. Wherever we can improve it, we should. So that's exactly what we tried to do with the evolution of the Strat and Tele for this year with a product called American Elite. But at the same time, there are aficionados with deep love, deep affection for the brand that will never want you to change it. We can do both. Yeah. That's the beauty, I think, of this industry, is that people really want an accurate rendition of a 55 Strat. We've got that for them. We had a custom shop event last night, and it's the most successful event we've ever had, but you had a range of rendition of the form from the master builders there that went from very straight up representations of the early instruments to real advancement. And you have to do both.
Yeah. Well, this is your first working show. This is a big one for you, and we're here to help and support you, and really hope you have a lot of success this year.
Thank you
very much, Andy.